This podcast, I'm going to tell in advance, is going to be really different than any that I've ever done, because I'm sitting here with my best, longest friend, Mr. Steve Sankey. Just that alone just sets this apart. There's not many people I can say that I have been close friends with for well over 50 years. I know. Like, is that number real? Yeah, it's real. So, Steve, right out of the gate, I mean, this is a special one. So, thanks for being here. Yeah. Evidently, in the world of our junior high class, there was no Q's or R's because the P and the S alphabetically were close enough that randomly we were paired to be locker partners in 7th grade.
Yep.
7th grade. Wow. I don't know how you felt about 7th grade. I know that I was just trying to not get locked in the locker that we shared. But 7th grade, you know, this junior high school went 7, 8, 9. Some of them, some schools, 9th grade is in high school, but ours was 7, 8, 9 in junior high. And here we came out of elementary school, and now we are 7th graders in an entirely different environment. And tell me about Steve Sankey in 7th grade. Now, well over 50 years later, what do you, looking back, who was that young man?
Wow, that's a great question. There's a couple things that were important in 7th grade for me. One was my dad was the vice principal at Edmonds High School when I was in 7th grade. And
the vice principal is the hammer, is the tough guy. Ours was named Molness, if I remember. I think I visited him a couple times.
About that than I do. Yeah. I don't recall actually being in there, except when we threw snowballs at the bus stop one day. But I knew that if I got in trouble at school, my dad would be the second one to know.
Right.
And that would not be pleasant.
Right.
The other thing was my mom was one of the lunch ladies for 1 or 2 years, I think in 7th grade. I'll have to go back.
At Meadowdale?
Yeah, at Meadowdale Junior High, yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so I knew that what I remember knowing was that you don't want to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. So there was never, you should have never had any fear of me locking you in the locker.
I didn't.
But I think we probably would agree. Look back, you go, we were just trying to figure out what are we doing here and try not to embarrass ourselves too much. And I always had, I have 3 brothers, and so our families, I think everyone just did the best they could. So I usually had 1 pair of pants the whole year. We would be preschool shopping was you go get a pair of pants, and then Mom would make us a shirt for school for that year.
Right.
It might have been 8th grade or 9th grade. I had a purple shirt Mom made me, but I remember being really self-conscious and not wanting to draw a lot of attention to myself and just kind of not get in trouble and try to figure out, you know. And so that was, it wasn't, when I look back, it wasn't like this, man, I was ready to take on the world or anything. It was like, just trying to figure it out, you know.
Tell me about your brothers and you mentioned your dad's, you know, of course, this vice principal at a local high school, but you're raising. I mean, you've got great mom and dad, and you've got 3 other brothers, all whose first name starts with S.
And our middle names start with R, of course.
Right. Yeah. Tell me about being one of the Sankey boys and in that household.
I was second, so you and I share that. We were second oldest in our families.
Right.
I was the tallest. My brothers would dispute whether I was the handsomest or not. We always go around that. No, it wasn't. So I grew up in Seattle, in Ballard, until 5th grade. And my dad was in education, so all the time, I can't tell you how many Edmonds High School football games, basketball games that we went to as a family. Because my dad, being the vice principal, he always he was the discipline guy. He would be go to the dance and be the administrator at the dance, and then Saturday morning we would sit around the breakfast table, and he would tell stories about kids who had made poor choices and gotten suspended or kicked out of school because they didn't use the term in those days, but the third strike, kind of thing.
Right.
So I grew up being really engaged. I was an Edmonds Tiger fan before I ever got to when I was in Beverly Elementary and Meadowdale. But I still went to all of them. Because we would go and we'd sit there and watch a football game. My mom would make hot chocolate, and we'd sit there and watch the game and eat. Once in a while, we'd get a bag of popcorn and share a bag of popcorn. Mm-hmm. We were pretty athletic when we lived in Ballard. We lived on, I could tell you the address, but we rode our bikes from 74th Street all the way over to Green Lake at the baseball park, the baseball fields down by Green Lake. Wow. And we talk about it now, and I go, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding?" We literally would get on our bikes, ride over to practice, and then sometimes it was dark by the time we get home. We'd ride our bikes home, and I go, "Can you imagine letting your kids ride from Ballard to Green Lake on their own to baseball practice?"
Yeah,
we would go around the neighborhood selling candy. Hey, you want to buy a box of chocolates for $1? And we'd go around and do that. Mm-hmm. And then probably the most important part of growing up, as I recall, maybe the most influential was we were pretty involved in our local churches that we were a part of. When I was really little, we were part of a church community in Seattle, and I was a Royal Ranger. I never got to be a Cub Scout or Eagle Scout or anything, but I was a Royal Ranger for a while. Learned how to tie some knots that I can't remember how to do now. And we were really engaged with that. Our family friends were all people that we attended. The church community was part of the church community. Some of the friends that I spent most of the time with were part of our youth group of the church we're part of. So that was really important. We were pretty competitive. When we got to junior high and high school, we were playing football and baseball and fiddling around and doing all that. But Dad had a huge garden. We were part of clearing the property when he built the house before we moved in when I was in 5th grade.
This is the house out in Edmonds.
The White House there that's still there.
Yeah.
So we were. I remember the first time I remember we ever went out to dinner. It was well after 5th grade. It was probably, we had taken a broken down chicken house that my grandfather had built. It crashed in the snow. My dad salvaged it to build a storage building, and we painted that one summer. And after we got done painting that, we went out to Chinese food for dinner. I don't have a memory of going out to dinner before that. So that was, Mom cooked, we ate, we were always hungry. There's biscuits and,
Right.
So it
4
was
boys.
4 boys.
Your mom's a saint.
Yeah, she always wanted to be a mom. That was all she wanted to be, was a mom and a wife. And so I think she did a pretty good job of that. Yeah.
My earliest memory of your home, we'd come over and play ball, at your house. And one thing that blew my mind was these rock piles where, I guess in clearing the property, I'm assuming a piece of equipment did the heavy clearing, but it's like everywhere you would go, if you saw a rock or the top of a rock, you'd dig it out and you'd take the rock and you'd put it in like a barrier, almost like a rock fence or a rock pile around a flower bed, or these rocks were everywhere. And I just remember watching your dad walking once across the field, and he'd stop and he'd dig this out and he'd have this rock and he'd take it and he'd put it in one of these places, these purposeful places for a rock no bigger than an egg. And And I watched that over all the years that it was almost became, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like there was more to it than just, I want the rocks to be here. It was almost a philosophical thing. I know that seems weird, but, and maybe it wasn't that at all, but I thought there's more to this than just rocks, because I could just feel it in all of you. You know, you'd be in the field and you'd see a rock. You don't pass up a rock. You put it where it goes, kind of thing. And then the field became better and better. The ball field became better and better. And as you're always out there playing football, baseball, anything any game you could come up with, you know, it was always a game, it seemed like. There wasn't anybody that would throw something that three other guys wouldn't try to beat them to do whatever they were doing, you know? And that bled into that sort of creativity around sport. Sport was anything. Somebody threw a stick. Okay, I'm going to throw the stick closer to that than you did, you know? And it was always this competition. And I'm going back to a memory of, we would get these milk cartons in the lunch line.
In junior high.
And if you
Chocolate
took
milk.
2 of these milk cartons and you open it up to be a nice little rectangle, and then you shove 2 of them together, like end to end somehow, you crushed them together, not in a ball, but they'd fit somehow.
And put your lunch sack inside of it to give it a little
put
bit
the
of
lunch
heft.
sack inside of it to give it a little bit of substance. And then you got this little square that's about 4 inches by 4 inches or something like that. And then there was this triangular piece of metal that kept this door from swinging open, bolted on this wall, so when the door opened, it would hit this instead of swing all the way and slam. And that little triangle piece of metal was about, 8 feet up there or something. And that would be the basket. And we would go out there after lunch in this little courtyard, and it turned into an all-out, flat-out game of basketball that you didn't dribble. It was like passing, and you'd work it in, and you'd try to slam it, and and that became the lunchtime sweat. And I think, does anybody do that anymore? You know what I mean? We made a ball. We figured out that's the basket. And it didn't matter what you were wearing that day or how nice you were dressed. No, we're sweating right now playing 3-on-3 or like that.
No, I don't think that happens anymore. I think lunchtime sweat is more of this now. I don't know. There's something really interesting about those days when you're just trying to figure out having fun and competing and trying to be good at something.
Right.
Yeah, that's important.
You're I guess almost by definition, because we all knew that your dad was a vice principal at a school. That role is the discipline role in administration. At least everybody sort of knew that back then, that this is the one that's the main title, it seems like. Would you say you lived in a very disciplined house? Like some might call it strict, or with lots of rules and guidelines. Was it real clear to you how things were to be at home with that kind of same umbrella?
I think I'm aware of people who've grown up in much stricter environment. I think rather than a bunch of rules, my recollection would be more along the line of there were expectations and pretty clear parameters. And since we were all just angelic children, there wasn't really a need for all these pretty big rules.
Give me an example of what an expectation might be.
Well, let me backtrack a little bit. Maybe the boundaries I'm thinking about were things that most of my early life, we were in bed by 7:00 at night. There was no negotiation. It wasn't like, oh, I want to stay up. It was like there were things that were just hard and fast, and that's just what it was. So they may have started out as rules, but that we just expected. You get ready, and when I was a little kid, it was in the middle of summer. It's 7:00. You're laying in bed and hearing the kids out playing on the sidewalk, and you go, "Why am I in bed?" But that's just what we did. It's just we were expected to do that. We were expected to get up when Mom rang the bell at the stairway. Then when we were a little bit older, she would always, whatever time it was, I can't remember. It must have been really early, because we were always up really, really early studying every day. I'm kidding, we weren't. But when ringing bell, you don't get to lazy around. You just go when it's time to get in the car on Sunday morning to go to church, to the church meeting, and you go. You just, there were things that this is what we're doing. We weren't. I wasn't. I can't speak for my brothers, but I wasn't severely disciplined, except when I broke a candy jar and lied about it when I was in probably 3rd or 4th grade. I got a bloody nose from the spanking I got. Not because I broke the dish, because I lied about it, and it made a big imprint. And so it wasn't rigid and strict by any stretch of my imagination. It was more, there was just really clear expectations. And then for me, this sort of really clear understanding that if I got in trouble at school, it just wouldn't work. That just was not a thing I wanted to do, because I didn't want to. Maybe as part of that, I didn't. Maybe it was a big chicken. I don't know. Maybe, but I didn't want to disappoint my parents to go. I look back and you go, how many times you hear, well, it was so disappointing. And when that's really sincere, nobody wants to disappoint their parents. Well, maybe, I don't know. We didn't, but that wasn't a lever my parents used. It wasn't like, oh, we're so disappointed in you. I didn't think I ever heard that. But I knew I didn't want to. And I knew that there was something about, how do I say this without sounding, I think I could be misunderstood here, but there was something about being a Sankey that was important. And part of it was our family friends all shared our Christian faith, that we all did our best to live out, and there was some sort of this expectation of how do you behave if you profess this Christian faith, and how do you live your life, and what choices do you make, and what does that mean? And so there's always this consciousness of not being in the spotlight, but being people are watching, and one of the sort of I didn't ever want to be the person that somebody stumbled over. I didn't want to be the person that caused somebody else their life ended up being harder than it needed to be, or that it was because of my choice or my behavior or whatever. I think that's probably a big deal for me as I think back about it. But strict and regimented, no. No. Clear expectations and that, sure. Yeah. And encouragement to go try stuff and, whatever. And pick up rocks. We did to follow that up. We did. When we moved into that house, there was no. We would have to pick up the paint cans were metal gallon paint cans, and we had gobs of those white paint cans. And before we had dinner, we'd come home from school. Before we could have dinner, we had to go out and pick up a bucket of rocks and go put it in the chicken house.
So it was very deliberate at one point.
No, it was. Yeah, it was like yeah.
Let me tell you a story. I don't know that I've ever told you this, but it made a huge impact on me. And I got what was happening there because I felt the same way. I felt like I understood what was happening. And I'm going to get some of this wrong, I'm sure, because my best recollection, all I know is I was watching a baseball game. And it was a school game, but it may have been like we're seniors. It may have been watching a sophomore game. But I remember that your brother, Stuart, was playing in the game. And And I hope Stuart doesn't kill me if he hears this, and I hope it was right. I know it wasn't Stan, and I don't think it was Sterling. I think it was Stuart. But all I remember is that he was running bases, and he was trying to stretch maybe like a double into a triple, or maybe he started on first base and was trying to get to third. He was trying to get to third. And he came around second. There was no hesitation, and he was going. He was going to get there, and he came sliding into third, and the throw came, and it was a close call, but the umpire was right there and called him out. Mm-hmm. And he didn't like that. He was certain he was safe. And he stood up, and he was like, "No way," or whatever he said. Yeah. "No way. Oh, no, I was there. He didn't touch me," or whatever he said. He was arguing with the umpire. And your dad was right there on like the third base, behind the third base dugout, just standing there watching the game. And however I saw your dad, he was watching Stuart, object. Mm-hmm. And he just got this look on his face, and he kind of did just the slightest little, and then he left the field. He went and got in his car and left. And I thought, and Stuart, I could tell, saw him. And there was this energy that went, oops. He didn't have to say a word. Yeah. And I've often wondered if he ever did say a word, but if he didn't, he didn't need to. Yeah. Your dad. It was like, we don't do that. Yeah. And we don't do that. And I thought, wow, that's the corrective look. I've gotten that a few times with my dad. He didn't need to say anything. Right. Matter of fact, saying something, he just would look, and you'd know, okay, that isn't what I want to be doing. Or I disappointed him, I thought that was powerful. Another story that I want you to tell, because I think it's one of those things that even when you're well-meaning and you're just a kid and mistakes happen. It's not like this was an intentional thing. I knew better. This was just a fluke, a mistake. But I say poodle story. I don't know if it's a poodle or not, but the small dog story, and it kind of ties into the rocks. I think that had to be a defining moment. Knowing you, how heartfelt you are and how intentional you are about doing good things for people. Tell the dog story.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
I've already looked up the statute of limitations. It's long been gone.
No, it wasn't a poodle. Okay. A little backstory.
Yeah.
My grandparents, my dad's parents, moved onto the property in Meadowdale in 1936. Mm-hmm. Part of my grandfather's deal was he built 3 chicken houses. They were 20 by 40 feet long. He built 3 of them. And he raised chickens for a while. Planted trees and all kinds of stuff, but he raised chickens. So fast forward then to when I'm growing up, in 5th grade, we move out to the same property. My parents built a house. That's where my parents' house is. My dad decided to raise chickens. Part of your rock story was we picked up rocks because he built chicken wire walls, and we filled those with rocks for the bottom part of his my dad's chicken house.
Right.
And then we have the rock pile. So we were always picking up rocks. And when we had chickens, we also had ducks and stuff every once in a while, but mostly chickens. But the neighborhood dogs in those days, you didn't have to have a leash on your dog. And just dogs ran around. And so anytime the dogs would just run through the property, and we'd pick up rocks and throw them out, scare them and wherever. So,
right.
So I'm up on the house, the corner of the house on a ladder, painting one summer, spring, whatever it was. And dogs got running up the driveway. And so I scampered down the ladder and reached up and grabbed a rock to scare these dogs and threw it, and boom, hit one of those little kick dogs right in the head. It went, and it was over. It was over that fast. I'm going, oh,
I'm
no.
laughing, but
No.
I'm trying to put myself in your place going,
No,
oh,
we have thrown
no.
we have thrown hundreds of rocks at dogs
Right.
over the years,
Right.
hundreds of them, and
Right.
but this little kick dog came running up there, and it was over.
Right.
So I go, oh no, or whatever, and I go over, and sure enough, the other dogs had scattered, and this one was laying in the driveway. My recollection was the ribbon in its hair was pink. There was definitely a ribbon. My recollection was it was pink. I'm going, oh no. So I went, my memory is I went in the house, told mom and dad, and they go, well, we better go find the owner. So
tell me more about that. You went and told them. What
well,
was their? You said I threw a rock to scare a dog and I hit him, and I think I killed him. I did kill him. He's done.
It's dead. What probably my probable reaction was more like, what should I do, kind of thing. Like I don't know, what do I do?
Right.
So my recollection is they go, well, better go find the owner. So there's another way to deal with things like this, but I picked up the dog and I went looking for the neighbor. And I literally, I could show you the cul-de-sac. I went around the Combs' property, went back around. Is anybody missing a dog? And I come around. It was way back. It was several blocks away by the time you get there. And I there's this lady out in I don't know what the dog's name was. Fee. She's calling her dog.
Oh no.
And I walk up and go, "Are you missing your dog?" And
oh my gosh.
you know what? I didn't take the dog with me. I didn't. I was remembering that wrong. Yeah. I go, "Are you missing your a dog?" She goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Does it look like?" In my recollection, does it look like this? She goes, "Yeah." I'd have a ribbon there. Yeah. I go, "Well, it's in my driveway." She goes, "Oh no! Did you run over it?" Mm-hmm. There may have been a better way to answer the question, but I said the truth. I go, "No, we didn't run over it. I threw a rock at it and hit it, and then she fell all apart." Well, end of that story was. We wrapped up, finally took the dog and gave her dog back. And what I didn't know at the time, my parents were really cool. I didn't even know about it till years later. They sued us. And
wow.
I remember that we had to pay them $50 for their dog.
Oh my God.
But I'd never forget that. Yeah, that's a great memory. Thanks for bringing that up again.
Well, you know, I think that in everything, you know, there's a lesson, and obviously that has. I mean, here we are. That's probably. I don't even want to measure. It might have been 55 years ago. You know, but the point I'm making is that, you know, it sticks with you, and these are the hard wirings. These are the cables that go in to say, well, what did I learn there? You know, and what do I take away? This isn't top that story, but you know, I was down at the beach with my family, probably about the same age. I'm going to guess I was 10 or something, and we were down at Browns Bay. You know, right? You know, right where that is, And mom and dad are laying on the blanket, and Jeff and I are playing in the sound, and this seagull flew over, and it was low, and it was just kind of hovering in the wind. And I grabbed a rock, and, you know, Steve, the same thing. I threw it up there, and I hit that thing in the head, and it dropped like I'd shot it with a shotgun. And it dropped right between my dad and mom's blanket and me, and, you know, Dad saw the whole thing. And oh my God, I'm just staring. I can't even believe I hit this thing. I don't even know why I threw the rock, but I did. And I'm looking at Dad, and he's looking at me, and he goes, "I've never eaten one. Maybe they're good, but you're going to find out."
Oh.
And I'm looking, and he goes,
"Yeah, that would have been your dad.
Pick it up. You get it up here." And when we went home, he took me out in that back patio area that we had. He set up a Coleman stove, pumped it up, said, "You handle it from here, but you're going to eat every last little sliver of meat on this bird." So, oh my God. I'm not sure I ever gutted a bird before, but I knew I had to do that much. And I remember plucking these greasy feathers off this thing and putting it in a frying pan and just cooking it till it looked like a shoe, and then eating that thing. It was tasted like mud. I'll tell you something. It was like, okay, you kill it, you eat it. Well, that was the lesson there.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it was a dog, I don't think you'd have, but the point is that there's these crossroads where you never forget that. You process it probably your whole life, and you're forever changed. I've seen a lot of seagulls. I've never been inclined to throw a rock at anything. Matter of fact, I almost died fetching a duck that had a 1/4 inch of ice on the pond because I shot it, and there it is. Now how do I get it?
Yeah.
And the only way to get it was to swim for it.
Yeah.
In January with the ice on the frickin' pond, I thought I was going to die. I literally, if it wasn't for Jerry, I think I would have died. But there's no option here.
Right.
I think that some of those things, they form you, Steve, and I want to shift. If there was a word that I've written to sort of describe and set the stage for this, and the word is just consistent. The one thing about your life is that from day one, there's this thoughtful, somewhat careful, measured consistency about how you've approached life. It's never been crazy. It's never been spontaneous. It's never been like, oh, let's just do this and we'll pay for it tomorrow. It's always been very thoughtful and steady and measured. That's my impression. A, do you agree with that? And B, if I'm even close to right, what wiring was installed that has created that in you? We're so opposite in so many ways in that department that I admire it. I don't even know how to frame it, but I truly do admire it. You're just steady, thoughtful.
I appreciate you saying that. You'd sent me some notes about that, and I've thought about that a little bit. The wiring piece. You've said it. You and I got wired. However we get wired when we are created, we got wired different.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that thinks, well, there's part of that just go, there's no control of it. Right. But I just have to. We grew up pretty. It was pretty early in. Yeah, it was pretty early in my life where I made a decision about how I was going to live my life, and the decision of coming to faith, and determined to do what I thought was right. How do you say it? To make to be deliberate about being the servant of a kingdom that's greater than I can't even imagine. And I don't think I understood it like that when I was a kid, but I grew up in a pretty conservative home, and the environment that I grew up with, friends and extended family, was always pointed to being careful and I sound to myself like I'm rambling a bit, but I grew up with my parents telling stories about their journey of faith. About in those days, if you were a good Christian, if you were a good Christian, then you wouldn't go to a dance. You wouldn't go bowling. You wouldn't go. I mean, there's so many things you wouldn't do because you wanted to abstain from the very appearance of evil. Right. That was a thing, and that influenced me. It was like, so it doesn't matter. But I didn't ever go to a dance in high school. Part of it was because this history of that was like, you want to be careful that you don't get involved in something that was going to cause you to go off the narrow path, right? And part of it was sitting around the table every Saturday morning for however many years, hearing the story of people that went to the dance and got involved in some activity that just got them off, got sideways, and go, I don't want any part of that. Right. So there was a part of this fear and this, and this sort of respect and reverence for not wanting to be perceived as whatever. So there's so much of that it's hard to articulate. Yeah. And I'm probably if you and I were comparing and contrasting, I go, you've always been way more the make it happen. I've always been more the kind of let it happen, and you might have. As I've thought about this a little bit, I go when I talk about you, I've been talking about you for years because we've been friends for years. And I go, well, Greg's more likely to go out there on the edge and do something crazy. I'm more of a, if it was just, I'm more of the ready, aim, shoot guy. You're different than that, right? Yeah. And that's okay. I'm not, it's not being. It's just no. I know. If we're talking about it,
some people would go, "Oh, you're so. We really are different. It's so different that it's. But it's to me, it's what makes our friendship so valuable. Is that I know what I can expect from you, and I lean into it. I think you know what you can expect from me, and it's had moments where I've jumped in your pack, and that steadiness has been needed. And there's been some crazy times that it was like, well, I know this is out of your comfort zone, but here we go. We're doing this. And I think that that's what makes maybe great friendships is that they don't have to be exactly the same. There's a contrast of perspectives, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. And there's there's really, it's really important. I could, if I had a little more time or taken more time, the fact that we got to work together. The first time I went elk hunting was because you pinned me down at that little cafe down at by Beverly Elementary. I came back. I came back from when we lived in Klamath Falls or something. And you go, come on, we're having breakfast, and you talked me into buying some
trailer,
buying some Red Wing Irish setters. I still have those boots. I still have those boots. I don't wear them, but I still have them. And there's to your point. There's things that, because I'm a responder. I'm a come along guy. I'm a come along and help guy. And there have been several times where you have been the voice that says, "Come on, we're doing this," and it's become part of the fabric and story of my life. It's been, and I look back and I go, I remember conversations we've had when we're coming back from elk hunting or going from elk hunting, and I go, it seems like some of those conversations were just really important because we're just two pals sitting in the truck driving, eating cheese and wheat thins and drinking Mountain Dew, or a pile of grapes or whatever, and just talking about life. And I go, I think that's what friends are able to do. And to your point, we're not doing everything together. It's not the same, but it's what do we look back and I go, wow.
You did stay in the truck when I pulled off maybe it was a little past shooting time, and started throwing shotgun shells at a bunch of ducks in a field by Pasco.
I do. And I didn't remember that until you just mentioned that. I go, there were times when I go, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, oh my God. Yeah. I think it's still light enough. You're going, I don't think it is.
No, I do remember that now.
No,
but to your point, the important part of that is we don't have to be the same. And I had some friends that in my past have not liked the idea of the iron sharpens iron kind of reference that we hear out of the Bible. But there's this piece of it, there's something about friendship that more contemporary people would write it different. But, it's a give and take. It's there's moments of inspiration. There's times to charge ahead. There's times when the come alongside guy needs a little kick in the butt to go, come on. Yeah. You take you're playing it too safe here. And those are really, really important. But I'm that come along guy.
You're steady come along guy. Well, and I really got to see that more after high school, I think. In high school, you're just trying to navigate your junior high and high school, what's going on around you. Matter of fact, I think it's funny that maybe AJ will cut these in, but grab the yearbook. This is one for
Are you sure you want to do
just
this?
that one picture. Yeah, not all of them. and then I've got to just make a little let's remember, because you brought them. I can't believe it. Talk about vintage, but yeah, this one. Check that out. This one right here. There's Steve and I. I think I'm blowing a bubble of gum, but there we are in high school, right? And quite honestly, you look a lot like what you did then, except you're gray, and I think I look a lot like that, except I'm gray. Yeah. So at least we're sort of about the same height and weight, roughly. But I think that's amazing.
Let the record be clear. I'm not the same weight.
I'm probably not either. And then I got to see a couple of these shirts. Yeah, this is grab a couple of these, because I need to just see them, because there's vintage stores, but then there's vintage stores. Check this one out. This is there you go, Meadowdale, class of '76. Huh. Can you
I think that's one of the shirts we were wearing.
Fathom that? And then we had some Meadowdale football, right?
Yeah.
I cannot believe that you still have these. You never wear them. You're just you can't get rid of them, right?
Well, there's that.
What about and that's basketball. What about the Whiz Kids one? And this was like this is like our intramural team, and this was high school or junior high?
High school.
High school. Yeah. That's right. High school are Whiz Kids, right?
But my favorite memory of Whiz Kids is the triple play. We were playing softball, and I was playing third base. I don't remember who was. I think we were playing the faculty. We might have been playing the faculty.
That's right, in a playoff. Yeah, I mean, that was the treat was
a sharp
playing the faculty.
Yeah, there was a rocket to third base that I snagged, stepped on third, through to second, through to first, triple play. Never forget that. It was probably the coolest play I ever had in sports. Initiating the triple play.
Boom, right.
Yeah.
Well, those years and following those years, we had this great chapter where we worked together, where the construction company that Rob and I had, we were blessed to bring you on board as a superintendent, and during years that quite honestly seemed kind of like a blur to me, because we had a lot going on, and I almost, there are times, Steve, that I feel badly that I wasn't more present with each moment, but I mean, we had a lot of buildings going on back there, and I know your role was not just one or two buildings. You were going from here to there to here to there, and it was awesome. And during that time, we had our own company flag football team. Check that out. And there we are, right there on the right again. The evolution of a life. And tell me about your memory of those times working as a superintendent in the building multiplexes. I mean, that's what we were doing. Building a lot of multiplexes.
Those are really important years. There were a couple things I take away from that looking back. One is it makes me smile when I think of that team. So I think it was Jamie who was the office administrator.
Oh, yeah.
And then you and Rob, you did all the deals. You got all the deals and all the financing, is my recollection. Rob did all the drawings and got permits. And then you guys you trusted me with a piece of property, and
here we go.
And then I'd hand you keys at the end. So I look at that as a I maybe didn't realize it at the time, but it clearly was that this was true. There was a meshing of gifts, and it was a fit. How do we say it these days? There was a fit there that take one of those pieces away, and it wasn't going to work. And it was so much fun in that.
We were all so young.
Yeah, we were.
I mean, I mean, we're in our late 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we were. That was pretty crazy. So the idea that you guys would hand this off, and you had other things to do. So good, we got somebody to somebody to worry about this or take care of it. But it wasn't that. It was like it was a perfect fit for what I was ready to do. Right. So. Who was the guy that framed all our stuff? Remember that guy's name?
Byro.
Yeah, that's right. I was trying to, and the roofer, was it Cal, the roofer guy? Was
John and Cal.
Yeah, and there were so many things. But
you're right. It was the same plumber, the same electrician, the same. Willie was an electrician, and Robinson was a plumbing, and it was not just our crew. Our company, but it was this group of subs that everybody kind of knew each other and got in a rhythm, and we knew how we did things, and we kept that going for
several years,
a long time, about a decade of a blur. Lots of buildings, and that was. But I during that time is when I really felt like now we're adults. We're not just in kids trying to figure out how to get out of school, but where I really saw your give me a role on this team that I understand. I got it. I've got it. You go do what you're doing. I got this. And Steve, the thing that I hear about all the time, like every single week, I hear a story that goes, well, I had this person working for me, and they're not showing up, or they stole from me, or all these horror stories of just not so hard to find somebody good to show up and just do things. And I hear it so often, and it takes me back that never once did I ever think on, or, I mean, it was just a team. We were all there. We were all there early. We all just did what we needed to do. Mm-hmm. Nobody had to worry that everybody was giving their very best effort at this. And we had fun. You said it. We had fun working together. Yeah. I don't hear that story ever in the world of development, construction with people these days. And I think, gosh, maybe it was rare then. I don't know. All I know, it was our world that we just all showed up and did what our job was to do, and we had fun doing it.
Yeah.
It was intense, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
And we trusted each other, all of us, to do our spot, do our role. Yeah. It's just like being on a team. There's only a quarterback and receiver, but somebody's got to hike and block, Okay, everybody's got a role. Let's just do it,
I think people have written lots of books about that kind of stuff, and they write stuff about, make sure you get the right people on the bus, and make sure you get the right people in the right seat on the bus. And it may be in a simple fashion as when we look back at those years that we got to share together doing that, it was perhaps an example of they had the right people. They were all doing the right thing. Their gifts and abilities and talents and want-tos were all, they kind of mesh, and you go, that's when it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
And that might have been the first time that I had experienced that in my career. I thought it was going to happen earlier on, but it didn't. And then later there were other examples of that. But that's just really important is, it's the round peg in the square hole kind of thing. It's like, and it may be that in our, our sophistication and if our objective is to go, make a lot of money, then other things, then there's a production to that. There's the company that I work for now is, we are schedule and budget driven. And honestly, I'm proud to work for where I get to work, and yet I'm a commodity. It's just a commodity. I go, lots of people could do what I do. Lots of people could do what I do. There's nothing that I do on any given day. Well, most of what I do, almost anyone could do. I'm okay with that. So my job, do the best I can. And there are some things you go, there's some things that are successful. People notice and they go, that's really cool what's happening there. And they go, well, that's a result of being this old, making a lot of mistakes, seeing a whole bunch of stuff, and just go, you can't do that when you're 20. You can't do that until you're this old. You go, I made enough mistakes. I go, this is how you do this. This is the right way to treat people. This is the right thing to do.
Well, those days certainly, I think they solidified a lot of things. I think they also presented new challenges that, at least for me, have been ongoing. The challenge of being a business owner and navigating all of the various changes in time and economy, and it's caused the need to just kind of reinvent a lot of things as you go. In other words, everything's dynamic and moving, and there was a great chapter there, and we ran with it. When the hole was open, we ran hard through it, and it was a great chapter. And I think that the unsaid part of your role, it'd be so easy to just say, well, it's job site construction management, however you want to title it. But because there were so many subcontractors involved and so many employees that worked under you, that it was very much a people management job too. And that's where I think your skill set and your personality and who you are really, and looking back on how did this all work so smoothly, you picked very carefully the people that we hired under you, that you managed. I think of Ed, and I think of Carl, and man, we had some great people work for us, But you saw what lit them up and what would make them shine, and you put them to work in the right ways to make that happen. And then all the subcontractors became like family because they looked forward to coming to your job site because it was you running it, and that it was your demeanor that they were trying to please. You see, it's almost like that the way you were raised is that your behavior was governed in large part by just wanting to please your parents and do the right thing so they were proud of you. Well, our subcontractors worked that way for you. And I mean, they didn't see me as much. They didn't see Rob as much as they saw you. You were there on sites all the time. And so I think that those subjective traits are the hard thing to identify and teach, but they make or break. Jamie's attitude in the office. I mean, there was nothing that could come through the door that she couldn't just handle calmly. Yeah. And believe me, with all these tenants and all this and that, it seemed like there was a fire every day. But she just handled it. She leaned into it, and it just like Ryan does. I mean, it's you got to be kind of bulletproof when you're the front person. At the bow of the ship, so first one that gets hit. And they've got to be flexible, and their demeanor has to be calm. And hers was unflappable. Yeah. And so I think on those times is again being forming and telling, and this is the evolution of know thyself, and get to know really the people around you, because to me that ties in with the value of longevity. Is that if you take a snapshot of someone, you've met them, right? And okay, and there they are, and you've known them for a year or 2 years. That's like a point and click. There it is. That's all you see, and you try to interpret that picture as to who they are, what they're about, and this and that. But when you know somebody, as long as I've known you, it's more like watching a movie. That it's a perspective over such a long period of time that it's a better sampling. It's you really now know what's dependable, what's real, what's them, and I think in that the connection just goes deeper and deeper because it's more solidified. There's no wondering. I don't wonder 1 inch about if this came into your life or if this happened or this. Yeah. I could be 100% correct on the way I think you would handle it. And to me, that knowing is what the value of long friendships is, that you've seen them in all kinds of situations and scenarios over a long period of time, and you're able to say, I think I know how this is going to go, and be there for them. Yeah. If it's going to go well, you'll know that. Yeah. If you see a problem, you'll step in, and things happen. You know, I remember, and if this is too personal, just cut me off. But I remember when I, first heard that your bride had some cancer, and as devastating as that news is, I knew where you were going with this. And I knew that although it will be difficult, your faith, your calmness, your leaning into it, I could just predict 100% how you would navigate this, how Patsy would navigate this. And I just knew it was going to be fine. Whereas some people, you'd think, oh my God, how are they going to deal with this? And it's a wild card. Who knows? Who knows? I better get over there right now. They may jump, kind of thing. I mean, it's not a criticism. It's just everybody is different. Well, it's just like when we're, elk hunting. It's like, well, you see that cloud coming. The weather's coming in. It's changing now. We're going to shift gears. We're going to try to get out of here while we still can. Okay, let's do it. It's a calm. There's no panic in you. There's a lot of faith. There's a lot of steadiness. Do what you've got to do. The tortoise and the hare. You're the tortoise that wins the race. And especially for hare like me that runs around a lot and burns a lot of energy, I've had to learn to just lean into what you know. You don't have to react to everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is life lessons. Tell me about Patsy. Tell me about the kids. Tell me about some of that chapter, because there's this Sankey thing's going on.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's growing.
Yeah.
Your grandfather.
Oh yeah, that's a first time after 50. Before I go there, I'll remind you of something that happened when we were working together in Edmonds there. You might not. You probably will remember this. You and Rob decided that with the real estate people coming in the building and everything, that I think it was once a month or whatever, we all got together because we didn't know each other. We'd go to each other's house and we'd have, I think we had dinner. Maybe we had dinner, but we had a little series of cassette tapes about how to improve your marriage or whatever the cassette series was. We did it for several episodes. The idea was we would come and have a meal together. I think we had a meal together. Then we'd spend. It was my turn to listen to the tapes ahead of time. I'd listen to an hour worth of cassette tapes in those days, and then I'd have a little synopsis and go, "Hey, let's talk about this. This is the main point," and we talk about it and how do we be better husbands or wives or families, whatever. And then we'd stop and have dessert. Remember this?
I do.
And then we'd have dessert, and then we'd all sit down and we'd pull a name out of the hat, and it was the story of your life.
Right.
And it made a big impact on me. It has had a huge impact, perhaps more than you might imagine. I'll never forget. I don't remember who the person was, but she started telling her story of a very, very difficult, fear for your life kind of story. And I'll never forget. We came away from that, and I go, I want to be friends with that person. I want to be friends with people who have really struggled, and they are determined to not let life beat them. I'll never forget that. I don't remember her name. And it's not important that I remember today.
Her name is Dawn.
Dawn. Never forget it. And so anyway, the impact that had with me, it helped me realize that everybody has a story. Everyone has a story. I was down in, we were down, what was that property that we built, the duplex that was right next to the sewage treatment plant across the street from the apartment. You bought that 13-unit apartment and we remodeled it. And then right across the street, it was like a duplex right there.
Right.
I will never forget this.
222 Dayton.
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
The one across the street we called Club Dayton.
Yeah, I think we did.
Dayton.
Yeah.
Club Dayton.
I have some pictures of that with all the toilets.
All the toilets in the parking lot, right, yeah.
But it helped. So anyway, that reminded me and helped me remember how important everybody's story is. And I'll never forget, was at that 222 Dayton, that's the address, was our carpet guy. I won't say his name because for this, but he came in one day. It was a Monday, and you described earlier about sort of my bent about people. It's like people first, whatever. But it is, and so I remember. I'll never forget. We were getting ready to lay carpet. The carpet, he was doing the carpet. We were putting the hard surfaces in the kitchen. I'll never forget. It was a Monday. He came in. Hey, I'll call him Bob, just because. I go, Bob, how you going? How's it going? And he paused. Had big rolls of carpet in the floor. Paused, and said, "Not very good." I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah. My wife left me this weekend." And we sat on Earl's carpet for a couple hours that morning. I'll never forget it. Just talking about now what. That kind of comes up a lot for me, this opportunity, but it's about remembering that everybody has a story. Everyone has a story. And for me, the space that I feel like I am, and the opportunities that come and go, it's so easy to miss the people. It's so easy to be meeting our objective and go. It's so easy to miss the people. And I'll just say, you can edit this out if you want, but I think what you're doing is with your podcast here, I think it's pretty cool in that the ones that I've watched a bunch of them. You're not missing the people part. And what do people want? Do people want more money? You go, maybe. But what do they really want? And we all just want to know that, well, maybe back to junior high, we just want to make sure we're not screwing it up so bad and embarrassing ourselves. Does somebody care about me? Right. Does someone want to be my friend? Does someone really know me? Does someone really want to know me? Does anybody really care about me? And I go, it may be at the end of the day. Right. I go, and we get so busy. Sometimes it's so easy to get busy, and you just go. So,
I think we called it Podcast Zero, where I sort of laid out a few ground rules for this, and a quote that one of my kids came home with from his teacher. I don't know that it was his original quote, probably wasn't, but first time I heard this was from one of my kids that said, Mr. Rafus said something today, I think, and I wrote it down, and it was, everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Yeah. And this Mr. Rafus is a retired Navy SEAL that went to go work in a Christian school and teach science. He doesn't have to do that. He's trying to make an impact, but this is delivered by him, and everybody in that school respects him. And I thought about that, and I went, I've never heard a statement that I agree with more than that statement. Yeah. And maybe it's because I feel like I can't really remember a time where there hasn't been some battle going on in my life. Yeah. I mean, I think, well, is everybody's life really like mine? Is there something? I know how you conducted yourself when Patsy was working through cancer, and I would guess that maybe 1 out of 50 people that you even encountered even knew, because you just, sorry, that's my fault. I'm going to turn that off, because that's it's really not necessary with your faith and the way you are. You just, and I'm not saying that there aren't an inner circle of people that knew and were supporting you and praying for you, etc. But you, with that situation, walking in and out of the grocery store, there's people walking through that grocery store right now that are facing the same thing, and nobody knows about it. Yeah. And I certainly wouldn't. And it's become like a anchor point to well, even comes to mind is this Power Players intensive that I've been blessed to teach for, gosh, we just did number 40, is that we're going to know each other in these 4 days. Mm-hmm. We're going to know each other. And people leave after those 4 long days knowing that group of people sometimes better than people they've known for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Because we're pairing you and saying, here's the question. Look this person in the eye and tell them the truth. And they go, whoa, what? And you start asking the right questions. Mm-hmm. You discover not only what's happening, but you discover that the answer to what you're looking for is standing right there in a package that you never would have unwrapped or looked at. Yeah. The most unlikely suspect has this expertise, this credential, this experience, that they could really help you, and you would have never looked there. Here's Waldo in the picture right here. And you never would have looked there. You walked right by it. Yeah. And like you said, we walked by a story all the time. And yet I would contend, Steve, that of anyone I know, you don't. You lean in and look at you, and like those eyes say, I'm asking a sincere question, and without judgment. How are you doing? What's happening? I don't know anybody that does that like you do. And I mean that sincerely. But I think therein lies the discovery of how this all goes together, is that the answer is in those spaces if you just look, the encouragement, everything you need. And if you go there, you'll be called to give things of you that are not called on every day, but you've deeply processed and understand. And so you can go, wow, since we're going here, I actually know a lot about that. You know, I'd be happy to help if I can. I don't know. We got to get past the surface to recognize the value of it all. The struggle is how we learn, oftentimes, the biggest lessons, right? The battle. Yeah. Yeah. I got to assume that when Patsy was going through that chapter, that not only did you two draw closer and learn a lot, but your kids too had this amazing example of how to approach this sort of adversity. And boy, those lessons are invaluable, you know? Yeah.
We, I don't talk about this very much, but we had planned a vacation. We were going to get in the car and go to national parks. We were going to go at I can't remember. We didn't go down to Yellowstone, and we're going to drive around anyway. So we had planned this trip. We were going to be gone for a couple weeks. And we were going to leave on Saturday morning. Friday night, we were the last ones to leave the clinic. A couple days before, discovered a lump, went to the doctors. They go, yeah, we got a problem. We were the last ones to leave the clinic on Friday night. You go, we have a problem here. We know how to fix it. We know how to address it, but we have a problem here. So we need to see you a week from Monday. We were going to be gone 2 weeks. So we got up Saturday morning. My parents lived in the White House. We lived in the back where we always have. We've been there a long time, but we went down, stood on the porch with Mom and Dad, say goodbye, and I'm thinking, should we tell them? Couldn't tell them. Sit on the porch, and I go, no, can't tell Mom. She'll worry. She will absolutely worry. She'll make herself sick worrying about us. So we left. We drove to our first night in Eastern Washington somewhere. And we get to the place we were staying, our favorite cheap hotel place we stay when we're traveling. And so we get out and check in. We walk over to the elevator. And we're waiting for the elevator. And behind us comes this gigantic guy. He's huge. I'm going to say he's probably 6'6", and he's a very large man, all dressed in motorcycle gear, black, carrying his helmet. Turns out his wife was next to him. She's all dressed in black. And you know what the rule is when you get in an elevator? You can't say anything to anybody when you get in an elevator. So the door opens. We lugged into the elevator, and they stepped in behind us. And the door closes, and I lean over to Patsy and I go, "Oh, great. We're in here with motorcycle people." They both burst out laughing. Ha, ha, ha. We get out of the elevator on the 3rd floor. They offer to help carry Patsy's luggage down to the door. Ha, ha. It was great fun. It was great fun. The next morning, it's Sunday morning, and we're sitting eating breakfast at the free breakfast at this place that we like to stay.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there, and motorcycle guy and his wife come walking into the room. And we looked up, we caught their eye. They go, "Hey." And so they come walking over to us. And this was really important because for a couple of reasons. So they go, "Well, how are you doing? Good morning. What you doing? Blah, blah, blah. How are you doing?" And it seemed the right time in the Eastern Washington. Nobody knows us. We don't know these people.
Right.
It seemed okay to go, "Well, we're doing okay. We're on vacation, and we have this diagnosis we just learned." She immediately came around the table, gave Patsy a big hug, and said, "Could we pray for you?"
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we, so it was really important because my parents didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a we know nobody here. And somehow we felt like, wasn't that cool that God brought someone who shared our faith
mm-hmm.
and they were on a mission. I could tell you their story, but it doesn't matter. But isn't it cool? Isn't it gracious of the Lord to bring someone alongside of us right
mm-hmm.
here
mm-hmm.
in this moment where we had looked
mm-hmm.
at each other and go,
mm-hmm.
we don't know how it's going to play out.
Right.
We know what we have to do. We have to take this one day at a time. We'll take this one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so gracious for that moment of
right.
someone coming alongside going, "Listen, you're not in this alone." I go,
It's like an angel was in disguise almost.
Yeah, with a big Harley.
Right.
Actually, it wasn't a Harley. It was a big gold wing. But no, it was really true, and we're so grateful for that. We've hooked up with him a couple times. We met him on the way, whatever. But but it was like, okay, you're not alone in this,
mm-hmm.
and we knew that. But we've lived our life believing that we get to be a part of something that's so enormously beyond imagination.
Mm-hmm.
This
mm-hmm.
thing that
mm-hmm.
that perhaps the creator of all of this,
mm-hmm.
that we get to be a part of that
mm-hmm.
plan
mm-hmm.
somehow. I go, and we're not alone. We're never can't see it. Sometimes we just can't see what's happening, but
mm-hmm.
the confidence of knowing that when you can't see what's happening, perhaps God is still working
mm-hmm.
for His plan.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I get it wrong. I think it's about my plan, and it's not about my plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I get off when I think too much about it. You know, what about me? What about me? What about me?
Mm-hmm.
I go, yeah, but remember, this isn't about me. It's about something I can't even imagine, but we get to be a part of it. And I go, So yeah, when we did that, it was I can't tell you, Greg, how many. Anybody who's gone through a difficulty, cancer is such a big, scary word. And I go, cancer is like, you got cells in your body that are doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing, and they get out of control and they mess things up. Mm-hmm. But that isn't the tragedy of life. That is not the hardest thing people go through. That is not the thing. It's not like, oh, the worst thing could happen is you get cancer. I go, no, that's not the worst thing that could happen. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that happen in life that are just horrible. Mm-hmm. And then you go, so for us, it was in our little season of intensity there, it was like, okay, what are we going to do? I go, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if we're going to survive this thing. Don't know. But what do we know? To go, can I just tell a story from a long time ago?
Please.
I worked at the university over in Kirkland, Northwest University for years. When I first went over there was a gal, I'll say her name. Her name is Marcy. She sat right across the cube from me. My cube wall was here. Her desk was on the other side. We were that close. We were this close to a little bit further away every day. We became friends with her and her husband, and they had 2 daughters. And she was diagnosed with liver cancer. And we were at Northwest College at the time, but Christian University, and every day I would hear people come by her desk, go, "Hey, we're praying for you. God's gonna heal you." Right? Okay. I'm going, hope so. So I set aside some time to just focus, and I was in my prayerful consideration was, God, are you going to heal her? And if you're going to heal her, then I will join the voices that say, I believe God's going to heal you for this cancer. But if you're not going to heal her, then I can't be that voice. Oh, God's going to heal you. I believe, I have hope, but I'm not willing to come over your desk every day and hug you as a sister and say, I believe God's going to heal you. If I got to know this. That was my prayer. So I'm sitting in my truck one day, and I'm reading, of all places, I'm reading the Old Testament. And this verse of Deuteronomy 33, and it jumped out at me like, and it's a blessing of it was a blessing of Asher, I believe. It doesn't matter, but it comes along. Your fences are strong, and you're going to be this and that. And as your day is, so will your strength be. Those words right there. As your day is, so will your strength be. I knew in a moment. I can't explain it. I knew. I was sitting in my truck. I could take you to the place. It doesn't matter. I knew that was the answer to my prayer. God, are you going to heal her, or are you not going to heal her? I was asking that question, yes or no. And if you say yes, I'm going to be the guy that comes along and says, Marcy, I believe I've heard from God. Wouldn't that be cool? Be able to say that? And but if not, I'm not. And the answer, I know the answer was, as your day is, so will your strength be. So every time I had opportunity to talk to Marcy or her husband or her kids or anybody else about her, I go, I don't know, but I know this. I know this. This is the answer to this question that I was asking. As your day is, so will your strength be. And I go, Write that down. And then, so then when it was our turn, I already have the answer. I don't know what's the outcome. I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know this. Today, I'm confident that God will give us strength for whatever is today. Whatever is today, we will do that. So you're laying in the hospital getting carved up. You're laying there with ice cubes, literally ice cubes strapped to your hands. You're literally, they're dumping chemicals in there to kill every bad thing I watched the Super Bowl one Sunday laying in the hospital bed with my wife. I go, how do we do that? I go, I don't know, you look back and go, boy, that was some pretty interesting days, but it only was one day at a time.
Right.
It was only one day at a time. How many days ago, honey, what do you want? My mom would bring up tapioca pudding. She'd make tapioca pudding because Bats could eat tapioca pudding. It was either tapioca pudding for dinner or ice cream. That's all you can eat. Take your pick. You want something real? No, I can't even imagine. Right. But what was it? It was, I don't know. I don't know. How would we know?
You're right.
We didn't. But I do know this. That was God's promise to me for Marcy, and then I just adopted that. And I go, I don't know how else to do this except that's it for me.
Yeah.
I go, I don't know. You go get. I mean, who knows? How would I know? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know this. And then I don't know. You can edit this out too if you want.
We're editing anything out.
You'll remember this. There was a time you invited a whole bunch of friends to your house, a whole bunch of friends, and you asked us to write out our life mission statement. Mm-hmm. And you were going to take some time to apply yourself to memorizing those. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you did or not.
Yep, I did.
But I really struggled with that. That was a big ask because I'd never done anything like that before. Mm-hmm. But I did. I have no expectation that you would remember what I wrote. That's been a long time ago. But I never forgot it. Mm-hmm. And it's been a guide, those moments of you inviting me to sit down and think about, what are you all about? What are you about? What do you think is your life calling? What are you about? That was really, really important. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that.
You know, Steve, I think that just the doing of that exercise, it certainly was a gift to me to receive that. I still have the book of all of those in it. But I also felt that there's no downside in this because I think it's something everybody should do. I was doing it at the time. Yeah. And I've updated that many times. I just handed out at Power Players what I call a personal disclaimer. It's like, if you want to engage with me, here's like a warning label. Here it is. Here's the truth of who I am. And know thyself is a process.
Yep.
I wanted to take you back in your story about this day at a time. I wanted to take you back to this is my recollection. But I've had the privilege of taking a couple, only 3 that I can think of, 4 when I count Carl. 4 good friends, you being my oldest best friend, elk hunting for the first time. I think of you and Hank and Steve and Carl, you know. And what you find out real quick elk hunting is that getting to where we need to go from camp to where we need to be with nothing on your back is an effort. But then when you get there and you get down to where likely the elk might be, and if you're fortunate enough to harvest an elk, well, there's only one way out of here, and that's up, and it's a long ways back to camp. And you would think, as I remember my dad taking me to that same place when I was a young man, you would think when you strap on, a quarter of elk onto your back and your backpack, and you look at there isn't a trail, it's just up, and it's rocky and it's steep, and you would think that this is impossible. I mean, you think your mind goes, there is no way. And I remember my dad saying, no, you're looking way too far ahead. Do you see that tree right there? It's 10 feet away.
Get there.
That's your next destination. And you plan your route. You look at it. You're sitting there and you look. I see where I'm going to step. Take a deep breath, and you get to there. And then get the weight off if you need to. Get it up on your shoulders. Don't sit down. Take a breath. Look at the next 10 feet. I'll tell you something. That metaphor of it's big challenge has to be broken into incremental. Sometimes it's I just need to make it one more minute. That's the goal. Yep. And then you did, and you go, okay, one more minute. And it's broken into really small pieces, because if you look at it in a bigger form, it's overwhelming, and you'll just feel crushed under the weight. I think that this is when sometimes that's the practical part of endeavor. It's the practical part of faith. It's the practical part of getting on is in that moment, making a decision to just go 10 more feet. I've referenced that, I can't even tell you how many times in my life, where I think, oh my God. No, you climb a big mountain in sections and segments.
Yep.
And those life metaphors, when they become you, all of a sudden big tasks, you have a drop-down menu. I know how to handle this. This feels overwhelming. Okay, drop back, break it down. What does the next hour look like? Yeah.
There's something going in my mind here, because I remember quite vividly chasing you up the mountain several times. You always had a way quicker pace. You always got to whatever the next stopping point was way before I did. And I would always catch up to you. You always very kindly would wait for me. And then we'd go, okay, next. And then you were off. And then I'd go, okay, I know where the trail is. I'll catch up to him eventually. I think that's a really important recognition that we're not all doing this at the same pace.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're all going to get back to camp.
That's it.
Right. And as long as we know where the trail is, if you want to run ahead and go like a rocket, go ahead. I can't keep up that pace.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways that makes sense in my head. I think that's true. It's important to make sure that we're not. Well, I think it's important that we leave room for people to make their own pace and own it, and at the same time go, come on, you're not quitting. I'm not going to let you quit here, right? It's like, you get that quarter. I'll never forget the first quarter of elk I packed. I don't know if you probably don't remember it as well as I do, because you had hauled a lot of elk before that. But the first one was when we shot, and the elk went down in the canyon, and we went down there, and I go,
they always seem to do that, by the way.
Yeah, they do. They run downhill.
Uphill?
Can you just go to camp? No, I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And you probably said no, and I go, no, let's go. We could help them. And you were probably saying no, this is their elk. I go, no, we can help. I'll never forget that. And I go, But you were always faster up the hill.
Well, I think there's probably a metaphor there too. We're both built about the same way, but I think that the knowing that, yeah, I've done this before. I've been in this canyon a lot. It can be done. So like anything, your belief in the situation, I know how this is going to feel, and let's just do it. Let's get it over with, because it's hard work. It's up, it's out. Let's go. Yeah. I think that there's another metaphor in there. We're all of a different pace, but the more you do anything, you're settled into that this can be done. The very first time, I didn't think it could be done. Yeah. I thought, this is impossible. Yeah. I can't breathe, but you learn how to breathe. You learn how to manage it. Yeah. You learn where to move quickly and where you don't. And, it's just like anything, you settle into the knowing of how to navigate. Yeah. We've, and it can be adversity that we're talking about, or it could just be a stretch of confusion, like a stretch where I just don't know whether I'm coming or going. It doesn't need to be like on task with a mission, or this is what winning looks like. Sometimes you get confused. You don't know up from down. And that all by itself is stressful. You don't have a direction. Okay, well then what do you do then? You break it down. Get clarity of what I should do next in the next 5 minutes. Don't think about it in the big picture. Break it down and try to task yourself for just 5 minutes. And then go, okay, I did that. Now, what about the next 5 minutes? And all of a sudden, clarity starts coming. The puzzle pieces start solving themselves. I don't know. This is out there. There's no doubt about it. But I'm very used to connecting and dealing with people that have a lot going on. And the compartmentalization tool of breaking things down into getting a clear mind around this is the next thing. This is the one day. I've got to navigate this day. How do I want to navigate it? What are the important elements? Sometimes it's an hour. Sometimes it's a minute. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I've been in places where you go, how do I make this 30 minutes? You make it in 30-second increments and declare victory. And I would do math in my head and go, well, that's only 60 of those 30-second increments, and we're there, one down. Okay, the next 30-second increment where you think you're holding your breath. Don't hold your breath. Think of something to do for 30 seconds. Those skill sets, I think, are what we draw on. Faith comes into that. A belief that next 30 seconds are going to become clear. Something will come that I'll know I'll need to do. And all of a sudden you get thinking on it. Wow, that was a minute. A minute went by. Oh, even better, right? We laugh and are tongue-in-cheek about the experiences we've had elk hunting, but it's going to be in some way, the lessons of that time become not about hunting or in the mountains. They become just metaphors of how to approach a lot of things. Just like when you climb the mountain of cancer, this ability to break it down and to have faith in every section, it becomes a metaphor to anything else that might come up. It's just like this. Here's how we've got to do it. Tell me professionally, Steve, you've mentioned, big, huge corporation, private Christian university, construction superintendent for a decade, and other miscellaneous jobs before, but pretty much that's the last. That's a long run there. That's 40 years or so right there. How has that journey that into different things? How is that? What do you take from all that? Is there a common thread of, because the job diversity has been very different settings. What has that been a good thing for you? Have you felt a continuity, although it seems very different? Is there a continuity? Is there a theme that's run through your professional life that you can draw on?
Yep,
Tell me
absolutely.
about that. Yeah.
Well, that's a really interesting question. I've thought a lot about it, not because we talked about it on the notes before, but I've thought a lot about it.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I'm going to say it was junior high school, I read this book one time. I think it was called like 12 Famous Christians or something like that. And it was a snapshot of personalities of the New Testament scripture primarily. And what popped out to me was I discovered I'm a Barnabas. So Barnabas was the guy that when Saul was persecuting the church, the early church, he's on his way to Damascus. There's this great light and conversion. And then Saul goes back to the church And the church goes, wait, time out. You're the guy you were trying to kill us 2 weeks ago. And Barnabas shows up and goes, hey, he's one of us. And when I was really young, that it somehow locked in my head. I go, I'm a Barnabas guy. I'm the come alongside guy. I'm the, hey, he's one of us. No, that's different. It's not what you think. And from that, I learned that I'm kind of a sucker for help. I'm a helper. There's no question about it. If I look back at I'm just a helper. So, working with you guys, how did that happen? I go, I needed a job, and you needed somebody, and I think that helped a little bit, and that was really satisfying because it was helping, right? When that ended, and I had even before that, I was working for Mark Bonanno. It was I got laid off, and somebody goes, "Hey, that Mark Bonanno's got a job over here or something," and I go, "Well, I'll help," and whatever. When I was trying to be Pastor Steve, when I first got out of college, we lived in Klamath Falls. And I will never forget, this is probably one of the most important things that happened when I was Pastor Steve. There was a young family in our church community, and they had 2 little girls in the preschool that we managed, a preschool, blah, blah, blah. And I was going to their house one day. I'm the youth pastor. Going to their house one day to talk to them about something with the preschool. I pull up to their house, and I look up, and he's up on the roof of his house, the dad. And he was Mom was real enthusiastic about the church, and he was kind of standoffish, kind of like, oh, whatever. So I pull up to his house. I'm intending to talk to them about their 2 little girls and the thing. And he's up on the roof. I go, so I didn't go knock on the door. I just ran around to the back of the house, climbed up the ladder, ran up on the roof, and go, "What you doing?" And he goes, "I can't get this gutter." He was trying to put a gutter on. So I ran over and grabbed the end of the dumb end of the gutter, just held it up so it was on line, and he'd come down and he's nailing it to the tails of the rafters there. We got all done, and he goes, "Oh, thanks, really appreciate that. What do you want to talk about?" I go, "Whatever the business was." Later, it came back. He was amazed and shocked that the pastor would actually help him with his gutters. And I go, that's my job.
Right.
I'm the helper guy.
Right.
So
there's the theme.
So there's that theme. It's and so when I go to I think when I got a call from you guys one day, I was down, and I think it was that same apartment I was talking about down on, and you called up and said, we're done. I need your keys, and we're done. Whatever it was, next week, whatever that was. This is kind of weird when you have to scratch your face.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I'm going, well, what am I going to do? So I worked with Jeff Stevens for a while, and I was framing houses. He hired me to frame houses, and I go, this is a young man's game, and I wasn't very good at it. And walking in our church building that we attended, a guy comes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I go, "I'm working." He goes, No, what are you doing?" He goes, "We need help at the university, at the college." It was Northwest College at the time. He goes, "We need some help over." And I go, "We're doing what?" He goes, "Student accounts receivable." And I go, "What is student accounts receivable?" I have no idea.
Debt collector.
I was a debt collector. I did.
Right.
I did. That was my job. But it was we need someone.
Steve
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was really good. So I got invited to be there because they needed somebody to come help them with this student accounts thing, and they literally, student accounts receivable was that, and one thing led to another, and then they moved me over into the computer help desk. In those days, the computers were just starting out, and I mean, they were just everybody was kind of getting a computer then. Not everybody did at the time. And so they asked me to be over there because they needed some help to manage some stuff.
That theme again, help.
And I'm standing at the window of the college one day, and I'm watching. They're digging up the road for the third time. They were building some duplexes along the edge of the property for faculty and married student housing. And I'm talking to my friend who's the vice president of the university. I go, "Dan, what is happening? This is the third time they've dug this road. I've been watching it." And he goes, "Yeah." So then they came back and said, "We need someone to be the director of campus planning and construction projects." we need someone. With the vice president of the university can't be doing that while we're developing the master plan and adding. And I go, I think I can help. So I applied. Nobody else applied. And so I got to help do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got laid off from there.
You happen to have done a lot of that.
Yeah,
before.
I did. It was really a great fit. It was, again, maybe part of that fit thing was just a perfect fit. It wasn't because I'm a genius. I didn't apply for the job. They go, we're desperate. Yeah. I got laid off from there. A whole bunch of us got laid off. It was a big surprise. But and then a friend of mine called me up and he goes, we need some help at the Boeing. And I go, I applied already.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard it's a little company. They do airplane stuff or something. I don't know. And he goes, I applied. I already did because I'd been laid off. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And I said, I already applied. They wouldn't hire me. He goes, no, you don't understand. We are so desperate. We are so desperate. He's down in Renton. He goes, we are so desperate for anybody. It is nuts here. We need anyone. I go, okay. So that was on a Sunday afternoon. He called me. I sent him my resume. The next Friday, I was doing a drug test in Bellevue or whatever it was, and then the following Friday, I started there. That's 13 years ago.
Wow.
And it wasn't because I was such a genius, because I'd figured it out. I'm going, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have confidence that, I don't know, I'm doing the best I can. Mm-hmm. And it turned out my story is about, they're so desperate. They just needed help, and I showed up. When I've thought about this over the years, I go, "That's the thing." I don't know. I didn't plan this. I didn't pick it, but it's a good fit. That's the right seat on the bus for me. It's not my money. It's not my idea. Right. But if you got money and idea, whatever, and that's how I kind of capture it. Sometimes I go, I'm the guy that can help you get it there. And I go, that's been really satisfying. And you look back and you go, and it's not because it wasn't like my life dream. Yeah. I mean, life happens and you go, I don't know, Lord, what's I don't know. We make our plans and the Lord directs our step. Proverbs 16:9. We make our plans and the Lord directs our steps. And I go, that's really important. That's really important for me. Yeah. And I think growing up in a family like I got to grow up in, and just that confidence of knowing that there is a plan that I don't understand, but I get to be a part of it, and it's this confidence that,
it's going to be shown to you.
I would ask my dad, I go, what should I do? He goes, well, what do you want to do? And you can trust God to open and close doors is vocabulary. That's sometimes important. And I go, yeah, that's right. God is faithful. God is faithful. And according to his plan, I have every expectation that there will be things that ahead for us that I would just soon not be a part of. I would just soon that not happen. I'm okay with that because I'm not about to give up the I've learned something. It's not about me. It's about God is faithful, and I think his plan is his plan for all of us. I've watched you over the years, and I go, wow. I watched you from when you were playing guitar at Young Life, and I go, no, those some days, right? Yeah. And being, and you just go, I don't know what God's plan is. I have no idea. How would I know? How would I possibly know? But I go, I think God's heart for us is along the line of maybe this unbelievable want to be with us.
Do you look at this, Steve, that at least I've approached this sometimes, that I know what I think I want, but oftentimes what turns out is more what I need. In hindsight, looking back, not what I wanted, but what I needed. It was there was a reason for it as I look back. And I think that maybe that's given me a little bit of faith that when I can't understand the turn in the road that I'm looking at, I've never seen this before, I didn't plan on this. What does this stretch of road look like? At least for me, it's given me a certain amount of faith that I don't have to understand it now. Mm-hmm. And isn't that what faith is? Yep. Maybe is that mm-hmm. I'm going to do my best not to resist this, but to embrace it, even though I don't understand it. Now, that's a hard thing for me. I like to be in control of every moving part, and I like mm-hmm. to lay it all out with a checklist. And I I'm very much wired that way of approaching things methodically, deliberately. But when you enter a chapter and you just don't, this wasn't like in my plan, I guess when I feel that way, I go, well, ultimately, though, there's probably a reason for this. Mm-hmm. And so at least sooner than I used to, I start looking for the reason, start trying to embrace what this is about. And then I think you can start seeing it unfold, lessons or a change of direction, mm-hmm. or sometimes to turn from the direction you're on, you wouldn't have done it without an earthquake. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The road just blew out. Now what? I didn't plan on the road blowing out, but it did. Okay, well, we got to do something, right? So I don't know. I think that that's where faith comes in. It's just the mm-hmm. recognizing that you're not in control. And you said something earlier that is the second time I've heard this now, sitting in this podcast with the same heart and the same behind it, is that the idea that it really isn't about you anyway. Mark Verbarnsi sat mm-hmm. right here after his house burned to the ground, mm-hmm. a week short of moving in. Mm-hmm. And he's looking up going, gosh, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. Why is this happening to me? Is how he roughly explained mm-hmm. it. And he said the clear message he got was, Mark, it's not about you. Like, chill out. It's not about you. Yeah. And he went, oh yeah, it's really not about me. Mm-hmm. And immediately he felt this weight. It's like, okay, then what? Okay, if it wasn't this, then what? The door closed. All right, is there a door opening? That faith, I think, probably is harder for me than you. I don't know, hardwiring, raising, I don't know. Or maybe it's just I'm rebellious and I just, by self, I want to do it myself. Well, I mess it up really good by myself. And yet, even in my mess ups, somehow, I look at, I don't read it as much as you do. I know that, but I looked at some people that I can connect with, David, right? He made a few mistakes along mm-hmm. the way, and yet somehow he was still used, mm-hmm. and he wasn't benched. Make a mistake, you're on the bench. No, it wasn't like that. It was somehow you're still in the game and keep going and yeah. and yeah. you're useful. You're loved. You're important. Yeah. Even though you're flawed and you really know how to screw up big time, I see potential. I see a heart. I don't know. That's the way I read it. I'm encouraged by him because I tell people all the time the reason I think I'm valuable in what I do professionally in real estate is because I've made every mistake. I can't really, I've broke my leg in every hole out there. I've been in this for so long that there's my value is all these mistakes. Well, I guess I'm hoping that life story is written that same way too. I'm no stranger to making mistakes, big ones, and they hurt. And they probably hurt people around me too. I know they do. Mm-hmm. But does that mean I'm benched? Does that mean that I'm now useless and can't stay in the game? No. I think it's the attitude of it. And I relate more to beat up people than I do those that appear not so. Yeah. So maybe there all by itself is the reason. Maybe I'm being prepped for a conversation I haven't even had yet. You know what I mean? Those sorts of things you just don't know. Yeah. But I think that the point of faith and the point of a belief that we're not in control of ultimately everything that happens. We can take responsibility for it. We can adapt and adjust as best we can, but ultimately your belief and my belief says that this is just a blink. It's just a blink. And so the bigger picture is yet to be seen. Mm-hmm. At the end of it, I think it's real clear you know where you're going and what your faith believes in. But for those that you leave here on earth, you and I are getting to that place where it seems like every couple months somebody we know has signed out. And, you know, there used to be wedding season, then there was baby season, and now it's funeral season, you know? And one of our closest friends, our class president, right? If there were 6 of us, we were all a part of that best friends in high school. And now he's gone. He's in heaven. No question in my mind. But wow, so young it seems. And yet we're not so young. So when you check out and you've got, let's just say, nobody knows who's going to go first, but you've got kids, you've got grandkids, you've got friends that are going to be left. What are they going to definitively say about you? What will the chorus, what will the chorus of your life song, what would those verses look like?
I hope that I'm imagining people standing around at an event, and I hope they would recognize that Well, that is a hard question to answer without. I hope they would recognize that I tried to seek God's kingdom first, and I really cared about people first. I think that's something that I think I'd go, yeah, if my kids go, you know what? He didn't miss the people. He trusted in God to, he was, he behaved like we might expect a servant would. He didn't, it was always about helping other people get better or be better. He did what was right. I think it goes back to, I mentioned a little bit before, the the life lesson. My life mission is when I do what I know is right, when I help other people a little closer to their goal, and when I'm content with what God has provided, then I sleep good at night. That's my mission statement. It's on my stuck on my saw, right by where I read in the morning. And if people said something like that, they go, you know what? He did what was right, what seemed to be right, and it may not have been popular, but it was. He tried to do the right thing, and he was. Sometimes he tried too hard to be a helper. I've had friends tell me that. He goes, "Stop trying so hard to be helpful." I go, "What? That hurts." That's. But if people recognized or felt like that was somehow encouraging to them, is because none of us have done any of this by ourselves. None of us are self-made men. None of us. There's an inexhaustible list of people who have come along to enable us to do what we get to do or be a part of. And so helping other people get a little closer to their goals, I think that's what you do a lot, and I like that. And then the being content with what God has provided. Give us this day our daily bread. What does that mean? I go, I don't know. People write books and do seminars about it, but when I'm content with what God has provided, that's really important, because I could. It's so easy to compare and contrast. I go, if I could just have what he had, or if I could do what they do, and I go, but what has God given me, and what is my responsibility? And I have a friend who wrote a book, an acquaintance wrote a book, and he was writing about the 5%. He goes, 80% of what most of us do, just about anybody could do. 15% of what we do. People have similar background and interest and aptitude and stuff they can do, but there's 5% in this life that only you can do. And he goes, don't miss the 5%. And I hope people would say something like that about my life. Is he seemed to not, he tried hard to not miss that 5%. There's only 5% that I'm the only person who can be in these relationships. For me, it's relationships. It's like I'm the only person that can be a dad to my boys, our boys. I'm not the only grandpa that our grandson has, but there's a role that I have to play. I am the only person. And that 5%, just don't miss the 5%. So that's kind of how I'd be hopeful that people would go, well, he was a little bit conservative. He didn't take very many risks, but this is, he did what was right, and he helped people, and he wasn't unhappy with the path that God laid out for him, or the provision that God had made, so I think that's kind of how I would think about it.
You know, there was a day not so long ago that your dad and my mom were at Edmonds High School. And they graduated from Edmonds High School. They were classmates, and they were young, and they went out into the world, and all of a sudden they found their partners, and they had kids, and that was you, and that was me. And you fast forward, and your mom went first, and then your dad joined her in heaven just before COVID started. And then it was my mom, and then shortly after my dad. And we're batter up. You know, there's the dugout, there's the on deck circle, and then you're up. And there's nobody left in front of us. We're next to the plate. Of course, you never know who goes when, where, why, but it does get you thinking when you see that whole cycle of, like, man, are we really there? Yeah, you're there. You're there. And so you think about these things. But I can tell you, Steve, that without any question, if you go first, I will be there declaring exactly what you just said. even if I'm too old to talk, I'll figure it out, because the word that we started with is consistency. And the theme of your life has never varied. The chord has played that since that day. I'm glad there was no Q's or R's in our class, because that was it was a windfall. It was a blessing.
Yep.
That
Thank you.
I think the challenge that I always try to deliver at the end is pretty obvious, but I'm going to just state it. The concept of control. Who's in control? Who ultimately is steering the ship? That's the challenge question. And I really appreciate you being here to tell some stories, to showcase our longevity, to speak your heart, and for everybody listening, I want them to know how they can connect with you. If you're open to it, it could be an email, a messenger, it could be a phone number. If you have a way that people could connect with you, let me know that. Would you like to give some way they could run you down?
Probably email's probably the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give it clearly. Spell it out.
SRS 1623 at gmail.com.
SRS 1623 at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Buddy, thanks again for doing this.
Thank you, Greg.
And thank you for listening in. I hope you listen to this one about 50 times. Make it 53. We've been around that long. God bless. Until next time, it's Pinneo, over now.